In this video, I'm going to be going over the top 15 running backs in the 2024 NFL Draft in order of where their consensus pick is. Be on the lookout for your favorite team in this video. You may have connections to some of these running backs. Enjoy. The best running back in the 2024 NFL Draft according to consensus is Ohio State product TreVeyon Henderson. He's been a big name ever since entering the college football world, and now he looks to expand that as he goes into the NFL. Henderson is one of the most explosive running backs that I have ever seen. In terms of his overall athleticism, he's very elusive in the open field, and while he doesn't have blazing speed, he has enough to outrun all levels of defense. He reminds me a lot of Kenneth Walker in a way, pertaining to his athleticism, but also to his patience behind the line of scrimmage. Henderson also has very good contact balance, able to stay on his feet and finish the run. As a 1,200-yard freshman season may attain to, his negatives are fairly limited. He does have some injury concerns, playing in only 8 games in 2022 and has played only 5 in 2023. His vision isn't anything to adore, and after contact, he's not a decision-making threat. With all of these positives to Henderson's game, teams should treat him as an immediate RB1. Henderson is one of 3 consensus mocked running backs, with him being mocked to the Bills at 55. Moving up to second in the consensus rankings is Florida State running back Trey Benson. A transfer from Oregon, Benson has seen some great success in college, and his running traits should translate to the NFL. Benson's negatives are big, but it's to note that he has many more positives compared to the number of negatives. Just like Henderson, Benson is patient and explosive, making quick decisions to swiftly get through a hole with his impactful vision. He's got some fast elusiveness with great unpredictability in the open field. He's also pretty powerful in his runs, making great effort to shed contact and continue his run. As I said before, his negatives are pretty bad. Primarily, he has some lingering 3-down back concerns. He's not a huge threat as a receiver, and on flat routes, he tends to fade too far over towards the sideline. He's also not a great pass blocker, as with his high pad level, his ability to absorb blocks is not great. Overall, he's not going to be too effective on pass downs. Benson is such a lethal runner, but as an overall running back, he has his concern. Personally, I'm not too concerned about his NFL translatability. He is mocked to the Baltimore Ravens at pick 59. Coming in third, Michigan running back Blake Corum makes his appearance on this list. He's an absolute stud, and a lot of people were shocked when he said he would stay for his senior season. But no matter the class, he's going to be near the top. Corum is such an elite running back when given open field. He's debatably the best open field threat in the country with a fast twitch and knock for getting away from tacklers fast. He's got very good vision as well, both behind the line and in the open field. Adding on to that, he's got fantastic decision making behind the line, being perfect almost every time when deciding to cut in versus bouncing outside. His couple issues have to do with his frame. He's 5'8", and while he does have a dense and powerful frame, being that height will bring some struggles. Naturally, with his frame, he won't be too effective on short down situations, as he's not great at just powering through the line. Finally, his deep speed is a tad concerning, and at the next level, he may be caught up to on long runs. Corum is such a flashy player in the open field, and I'm sure teams will catch on to that ASAP. Corum doesn't have a specific mock, but his common mocks are to the Bengals, Saints, and Ravens. Next up is my current RB2 in this class, Raheim Sanders out of Arkansas. Do you see this guy's frame? He has an absolute monster build, and some of that frame is going to translate to traits, but other traits will shock you. Sanders is a bowling ball. He's a violent runner with nice contact instincts, and he doesn't just look for contact at all times. At least he's smart about it. He's got good explosiveness and twitching ability with some very solid vision to add on to that, giving defenders a hard time tackling him both physically and mentally. Surprisingly, he's also a nice receiving threat, and he was actually a wide receiver in high school. Outside of that, he doesn't have many other positives, but just having the ability to punish defenders both physically and athletically is crazy. He is a mediocre route runner as an overall receiver, and he will likely be stuck to behind the line of scrimmage. He's also a mediocre blocker for his size, but overall, that blocking is good for a running back. Sanders' positives outweigh the negatives, and while his frame isn't the typical frame you see in the NFL today, he's still a great running back. Sanders has common mocks to the Buccaneers and the Cowboys. Rounding out the top 5 is Wisconsin running back Braelon Allen. Allen has dealt with his fair share of injuries recently, but that shouldn't take away from the fact that he is a great college running back. Just like Sanders, Allen has a bowling ball build at 6'2", 245. He uses that frame to his advantage as he's a very physical runner who is elite at breaking tackles and extending the play after contact. He's got some very good vision as well, being patient behind the line of scrimmage and bursting through gaps. He's also a 3-down back, with some decent receiving abilities and blocking capabilities, using his strength to act as a 6th blocker on pass downs. On the flip side, he's a bit stiff and not elusive enough to be a threat at the 2nd level. He's not too athletic and is under average athletically compared to most NFL backs. Finally, he's really only got the physical traits in the great category, nothing above and beyond anywhere else. Allen is such a physical back, but his NFL translatability is not the best. The consensus mock is 57 to the Cowboys, presumably replacing Zeke. In the 6th slot for consensus, Jonathon Brooks makes his appearance. Brooks has had some big shoes to fill with the losses of Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson, and I'd say he's filling those shoes pretty well. Brooks' positives start with his athleticism, primarily in the open field. He's got elusiveness to lose defenders and deep speed to outrun defenders to the end zone. He's explosive behind the line of scrimmage as well, finding gaps and quickly getting through. On the downside of things though, he needs to work on his mentals. His decision making is pretty slow and hesitant overall, and while he is patient, he just needs to work on not living his life on yellow lights. He has good receiving abilities, but he will really only be limited to flat routes. Brooks is coming out of a school that has elite draft momentum at the RB position. We'll see if Brooks can continue that momentum. His common mocks are to the Packers and the Ravens. RB7 in this class is Clemson's very own Will Shipley. Many thought he would be more productive than he is being right now, but Clemson is struggling, so it makes sense. He's still a great prospect overall. Shipley is a phenomenal athlete who reminds me of Jahmyr Gibbs as a prospect. Shipley has nice vision, explosiveness, and overall good athleticism, especially when given space. He's a good receiving back as well, and at the next level, he could be used as a gadget player. He's also got some elite acceleration for a running back. To round out the positives, you can tag on his special teams upside. On the flip side, he may not be a 3-down back immediately, just like Gibbs was when he entered the league. He lacks good physical traits and may struggle in a zone run scheme. You can't rely on him to consistently break tackles, and that includes in the open field where he's so good. Shipley is confident in himself to break through the line, but he could use more patience when behind it. Shipley is a very solid running back, and his athleticism is really hard to top. The Bills and Bengals are common mock draft spots for Shipley. We have our 2022 Texas running back team where 2 running backs make the top 10. In this situation, it's Michigan. Donovan Edwards is 8th on this list. Edwards has had a fairly disappointing 2023 season, but there's still no doubt that he's talented. Edwards is perfect for the NFL in terms of translatability. He's a dual threat back who possesses nice physical traits, very good vision, and good blocking abilities. He's very good at utilizing his blockers to get around defenders, and if his vision can take another step forward, he should easily be an RB1. Now, as I said, his 2023 production is extremely lackluster. He's got 211 rushing yards on 3.2 yards per carry going into this game against Purdue. He's also not great at breaking tackles, and his tree for shedding them is very small. Finally, he's pretty hesitant on his runs, sometimes bracing for contact too early, resulting in lost yardage. Edwards has disappointed thus far, but there's no doubt that he has the talents to make the league. Mocks have him going to either the Chiefs or the Browns. RB9 in this class is MarShawn Lloyd, a redshirt junior from USC. Lloyd is a fun prospect to watch, especially since he's not the top target in a system run by Caleb Williams, but he's still so lethal. Lloyd is such an explosive athlete with very good athleticism. He's very elusive in the open field, and he gets there pretty quickly, showing that next level burst once he finds his gap. He also has some nice physical traits, including his solid contact balance, reflected in his 40 missed tackles this year, which is top 15 in FBS. As a negative, Lloyd is not too great as a blocker due to his poor technique against bigger guys. He's a fine receiving back, but sometimes he's a little hesitant to decide his first move after the catch. His pad level is also concerning, but that's reflected in his build. Lloyd is a fine prospect. He may have some limitations, but overall, he's a lethal running back. Lloyd has been mocked most to the Browns. Bucky Irving out of Oregon rounds out the top 10 here. Irving has the best nickname in this class, and while he's not the best running back in the class, he still cracks the top 10. Irving's athleticism is where we must start. His in-game speed is elite, and he accelerates to that top speed very quickly. His vision adds on to this, as time and time again he makes it in small gaps. Makes sense on why he has 7.2 yards per carry. Combining this speed with his vision is so good. In the open field, he's got some insane ability to make plays. Negatively, he's got a pretty small frame, especially for a running back. In terms of his playmaking, he's got some good stuff as I said before, but sometimes he tries too hard to make that play. So basically, he's got the talent, but the decision making could improve. Irving is pretty damn good. As I said, he has the talent, and that talent could translate to RB1 in this class. He's commonly mocked to the Vikings and the Bills. I'm going to go over these next 5 guys fairly quickly, but I'm still going to give them their respect. Notre Dame running back Audric Estime comes in 11th on this list. He's having a fantastic 2023 season, and he just continues to boost his stock. Estime is a bowling ball running back with good physical traits both behind the line and in the open field. He's got very good body control, and he's also got nice contact balance, relying on his overall physical traits to make a big run. On the negative end, his vision is pretty mediocre, and he struggles to see past the second line of defense. He's not the most elusive back on the planet, but it will translate well enough. Finally, he's like a one-read quarterback. If his first or second idea goes away, he's not a good enough playmaker to improvise. Estime's hot start to the 2023 season should bring in a lot of NFL interest. He's been mocked most to the Bears and the Browns. Moving on, Kentucky running back Ray Davis makes his appearance on this list at number 12. Davis is not too much on the radar right now, but given the recent history of Kentucky running backs, he should be good enough to be in the league. Unlike some of his Kentucky counterparts, Davis is a very physical back. He's got an aggressive mentality and uses his play strength to charge him upfield. He's also very good in the passing game, making rare mistakes in the backfield when getting the ball in the air. On the opposite end, let's keep with receiving and say he is not elusive, fast, or generally good enough in the air to make a minor switch like fellow Kentucky grad Lynn Bowden did. He's also not elite at anything, which will prevent him from receiving starting opportunities. I could personally see Davis having a career outlook just like Chris Rodriguez's outlook coming into the season. Davis does not have a common mock draft placement. Let's switch from UK to KU. Let's talk about Devin Neal for RB13. Neal sits at 13th in consensus, but his athleticism could get him looks a lot earlier than that. Let's start on that note. His athleticism is crazy. Elite speed, explosiveness both behind the line and after the catch, and elusiveness in the open field to shed off tacklers. His vision is pretty nice at its best as well. On the downside, his physical traits are not great. Despite being 5'11", 215 pounds, he struggles with contact balance and is not a good back in short yardage situations. There's not a lot to say about Devin Neal. but he will be getting drafted just because of how athletic he is. The Bears and the Browns are teams that he is commonly mocked to. 2 backs left, and they both come from the top 2 teams in the first edition of the college football rankings. Let's start with number 1. Miyan Williams from Ohio State is number 14 on this list. Just like Donovan Edwards, he's had a disappointing 2023 season, but he has the talent to get drafted. Williams is another powerful back in a class of powerful backs. He's got 3-down back potential with his stellar blocking abilities and his very good contact balance. Overall, it's very difficult to bring him down. Now, here's where I stand with Williams. He seems like a fullback to me. He struggles athletically, especially with deep speed and elusiveness in the open field. He's made to pick up third and short opportunities and isn't particularly a 3-down back at the next level. I may be a little harsh on Williams, but he's good enough to receive a few runs a game in the league. Williams does not have a common mock draft spot. To round out the top 15, we have Georgia running back Daijun Edwards. Edwards has been doing fine in the potential running back university, making progress game by game. Edwards has a good combination of athletic traits and physical traits. He's got the power to shed tackles at the line and the shiftiness to get him further down the field. He's got solid vision, and while it's not elite, it's good enough to be a lead back. That's where these negatives start though. He doesn't have any elite traits. Nothing stands out to be an RB1 on that end. Outside of that, he doesn't have great production in the pass game. Edwards is a solid running back, and his stock just keeps going up continuously. Edwards does not have any common mock draft spots. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Coming soon are my NFL Power Rankings for Week 10 and the wide receiver version of this episode. If you're not subscribed, you're missing out. Once again, I'm Chase Keller from Chase Keller Journalism, and thank you guys so much for choosing this channel as your source of sports coverage. I'll see you guys in the next video.